Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt with OddsJam. Just here bringing you the next 4 picks for this NFL Sunday. I know it's been a little bit since I took last week off, so it's going to be one lock, one underdog, one game prop, and one player prop. The rules for the lock is that the odds have to be can't be worse than minus 200 because there's no fun in saying a team that's heavily favored is going to win. And the underdog has to be money line, and it has to be a plus money line. So it can't be a situation where when the favorite might be minus 115 and the underdog might be minus 105. It's got to be plus money. And then the game and the player prop, same thing. Odds can't be terrible. So just to recap, so I've been doing this every week since week 1, except I've missed 2. And so my total record is 22-10. The total profit is a little over 1,200, as you can see here. To recap, last week I ended up being down $25 because while my picks went 2-2, as you can see, the profit for the money line on the Pats and the Chargers team total wasn't enough to profit from the loss of the 2 games, the 2 picks that I lost. So I'm taking that into account, and for this week I'm going to try to not have something with as bad odds as the minus 170, obviously. So that's the kind of the reason why. I know the limit I give myself is minus 200, but in situations like this where you go 2-2, you still net money, you still net losing money because of the odds. So just wanted to give you guys that quick recap just to make sure, just to see how things have been going. So looking through the slate, there's not a lot. Actually, there are more games this week than normal. Obviously, the Bills doesn't work. So the way I like to go about making my picks, if you guys want to start, doing something similar on your own, is I use OddsJam and I use this the tab where it just gives you the best odds. And if I'm doing underdog and favorite, the only thing I need to do is just look at this page here because I'll know if it has a sportsbook that those are positive EV plays. So in a situation like this, you see the OddsJam Perfect Line is plus 150. That means there's no positive expected value play there. So I know right off the bat what's a positive expected value play and which one's not. And again, to repeat, anywhere the OddsJam Perfect Line shows up as the best line, there's no positive expected value there. So looking through, and another reason why I like to look at this page with that lists every game is I can see what games even qualify as far as underdog and favorite. So Bills, I can't take them at minus 300 because that doesn't fit, right? Same thing with the Ravens and going forth. So looking through, there's a decent amount of options here. Normally that you don't have that many under worse than minus 200. I have the Panthers at minus 155 on DraftKings. I have the Dolphins at minus 170, the Eagles at minus 130, the Packers at minus 110. The Bengals at minus 110, and looks like that's it. So of all the games, just looking through, I don't like the Panthers. I know they just beat the Cardinals, but, it's an exciting time with Cam Newton coming back, and I get that. But the Washington football team just beat the Bucs. So, yeah, they are due for a letdown, but, I don't trust the Panthers quite yet. I'm not ready to make them my lock, especially at minus 155, and I don't want to, I'm not messing with the spread. The Packers I thought about, but there's still some weirdness going on with them in the whole Aaron Rodgers situation. They didn't look great against the bad Seahawks defense last week, so I kind of took that one off. The Eagles, I'm an Eagles fan, and I can't seem to get a good feel for them. I know the Saints have some bad injuries, but I've seen the Eagles struggle too much both on offense and on defense. I don't quite trust the value, or I don't quite trust them yet. So what I settled on was the Dolphins, and to me, this is a no-brainer. I really thought about taking them at minus 170 money line, but I wanted to look at their spread and see if there's any positive expected value plays on the spread. And it looks like there is on the main line at minus 3. So the OddsJam Perfect Line has the Dolphins at minus 128. I'm getting them on WynnBet at minus 120. And I just want to preface this saying that I've already placed all these bets, and at the very end of the video, I'll take a screenshot of all of them just so you guys can see them all in one screen, and B, just to save time and not go through each sportsbook and bet them. So I'm going to settle on the Dolphins at minus 3. I know the Dolphins don't have a great record, but they have won 2 straight. Let's look at the Dolphins schedule. They've won 2 straight. One of those wins being a legit good win against the Ravens, where they just dominated them. So they beat the Texans and the Dolphins, or excuse me, the Ravens. Obviously, the Texans win, nothing to brag about, but the Ravens win is, and they really dominated that game. So maybe they're figuring some things out. It was finally the defense that we had been used to seeing from the Dolphins, or excuse me, the defense that we saw last year from the Dolphins. This year, the defense has been bad. And the Jets are starting Joe Flacco. I have a general rule of thumb where if Joe Flacco starts a game, bet against him. Joe Flacco last year was just, if you want to look at his stats last year, he was just terrible. He started a couple games for the Jets. I don't believe he won a game at all. Let's see. So this is 2021. No, I want 2020. Sorry for the delay here. Okay, so we're looking at his game logs. Let's see. He played snaps in, let's at snap percentage. So in 4 games, he started 100% of the snaps. Looks like he lost every single game. So he put up 10 points against Arizona. He was shut out against Miami. And then 27 and 28 against the Patriots and the Chargers. Not bad, 27 and 28 and 28 points. But still lost every game, and he didn't really look good in either of them. The Patriots game was the best game he played all year. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. But other than that, he only had had 2 touchdowns against the Chargers. But the Chargers team wasn't that great last year. And then, 195 yards against Arizona, 186 against Miami. And he's old, right? He's like 35. I think it has his age. Yeah, he's 36 years old now. So, I don't trust Joe Flacco. I don't trust this Jets team at all. I think, as you can see, their defense has just gotten pummeled the past 2 games. They're not good. And the Dolphins, while they have a bad 3-7 record, they have won 2 straight, and one of those wins was legit. Their defense seems to be, rounding into form. So at the end of the day, this is, I can joke and say it's a system play, but the system is whenever Joe Flacco starts a game, bet against him. So that's what I'll be doing here. I'm going to make my official lock the Dolphins -3. And I've actually already locked in all these as here as well. I can show you here that these are all my 4 plays locked in there. So the first one, the lock, is going to be the Dolphins -3 against the Jets. So for the underdog, I go through the same process, right? I look for plus money where the best line isn't the OddsJam Perfect Line. Again, a decent amount of options that aren't terrible. The Colts I thought of. The Bills just haven't quite been as good as you'd expect, but I'm not ready to bet against them yet or on the Colts. The Vikings at plus 102. I don't think they're going to win, and that's also not really. It's not enough. It's not great. The Saints, like I said, I can't get a feel on the Eagles, so that kind of goes both ways. I don't have faith in what I see in the Saints. So the 2 games that I was really looking at were these 2 here: the Seahawks plus 115 and the Cowboys plus 120. And what I ended up settling on was the Seahawks, but I did want to talk through both of them quickly, and obviously put more emphasis on the Seattle one. But so for the Cowboys, this is a spot where the public is all over the Chiefs. I forget the exact amount, but I know that they've gotten the majority of the bets have been for the Chiefs. I think that the public saw the Chiefs put up a 40-burger and just destroy the Raiders last week, so they think, oh, the Chiefs are back, I'm going to get ahead and bet on them. But I've noticed that a lot of the analysts I've seen have picked the Cowboys in this game, which normally my logic is to bet against the public. And if I did have to choose a side, I would choose the Cowboys. But at the end of the day, I just thought that the Seahawks were a better play. But I do like the Cowboys as well. I'll give them a shout out at plus 120. So the Seahawks, there's a couple reasons why I like them as a better play. Number one, they're at home, and the Seahawks have notoriously played better at home. Number two, and these are kind of 2 system plays, but the first one is bet against the team where their starting quarterback is returning from an injury. So this would have applied a couple times this year. It would apply to the Cowboys game against the Broncos, if you remember, where they got absolutely destroyed. They just got absolutely crushed. And it would apply to the Seahawks last week in Russell Wilson's first start. So another game, they were terrible. They got shut out against the Packers. They didn't look good. Obviously, the betting against that strategy doesn't have a 100% success rate, but rust is a real thing. And Kyler Murray, if he does play, is going to be hobbled. I believe as of the time of this recording, which is Friday afternoon, he's listed as questionable. I'm expecting him to play, but if he does, he's going to be hobbled, right? He's not going to be able to run as much as we're used to seeing. And For those of you who remember last year and also earlier this year, when Kyler Murray is banged up, he's not the same quarterback. So that's when the Cardinals had the struggle last year. And that's when they've struggled this year, is when Murray's been banged up. And in this case, Seattle was have another week of getting Russell Wilson healthy. I don't expect him to play as bad as he did last week. That's about the worst you'll ever see Russ play. And I also have some stats for you. So a team that has been shut out, as the Seahawks were last week, they bounce back more times than not. So I have some stats for you. So to be clear, this is against the spread, but the spread is so close in this game. Looks like it ends up Cardinals 2.5. That I'm just going to go ahead and take the money line. Obviously, they're the underdog, so I have to. But against the spread, teams that have been shut out are 3-0 against the spread the following week. And since 2018, those teams are 12-3. So the reason for that is because the lines tend to get a little bit juiced when a team has a week where they got shut out. And almost always, if you play the reverse side of that, you play against where the lines are juiced, you'll end up profiting. So it looks like if I were to give a pick on the game, that Seattle plus 2.5 minus 110 on WynnBet. I think it's a great pick, but I'm going to go ahead and just take their money line for the underdog at plus 115. And like I said, there's a couple reasons why. They're the home team. If Kyler Murray comes back, he'll be rusty and he'll be banged up and he won't be 100%. And the Seahawks, it's a kind of a system play since they were just shut out the previous week. So official play, Seahawks plus 115, and you can get that at BetRivers. So for the game prop, I scanned through the positive EV page. I had a couple different options, but what I ended up settling on is a pick that I really like, and this Carson Wentz passing completions over 20.5. So first of all, 20.5 isn't really that much. And if you want to look at the calculator, it looks like it's giving it about a 54% chance of hitting, and we're getting that at minus 115 odds. And it looks like the OddsJam Perfect Line has that at minus 140. And like I said, we're getting that at minus 114 on FanDuel. And if you want to look at Carson Wentz stats, he's hit this over 20.5 more times than not. So looks like they've played 10 games and he hasn't hit it 1, 2, 3, 4 times out of the 10 games. So 60% of the time it hits. It's hit the last 3 weeks. And those have all been good games for the Colts, right? They've gone 2-1 with their only loss being in the OT to the Titans. And this is a game in which I don't expect the Titans to win. I don't expect the Colts to win. They're pretty heavy underdogs, and by logic, the more time of the game where you're losing, you're going to be passing more, right? That's just kind of how it works. So like week 1, they were losing the majority of the game against Seattle. He had 25 completions. That went over. In this game, as you can see, he didn't play 100% of the snaps. He got hurt at the end of the game. So you can assume if he had stayed in the game, he would have gotten one more completion. So that one most likely would have hit. This Tennessee game was weird. As you can see, he played 100% of the snaps, but they only played 61. That was when he had 2 sprained ankles. So they kind of leaned on the run game, and they didn't run as many plays. And the only other times that he didn't hit were wins where one against Houston, that was just a blowout. They didn't really have to play him at all. And then the San Francisco game was filled with rain, right? They didn't throw a ton because that was just a terrible, terrible weather game. So majority of the times he's hit this over 20.5 completions, and you can kind of explain away the time, or not explain away, but you can justify the times that he hasn't, right? One of them was due to injury, where he left the game early. The other one was due to being injured because the previous game he left early. And then the other 2 he didn't hit, rain-filled, and then one against Houston where their defense only let up 3 points. So other than that, he's hit it every time, especially in a loss. The only times he didn't hit it twice, but again, I already explained those. So the Carson Wentz over 20.5 completions I really like. They've been leaning on Jonathan Taylor a lot, but the Bills have a pretty stout run defense, so I don't think they're going to be able to run it as well as they have. So this is a bet, like I said, that I'm very confident in, that I really like. So my official player prop is going to be, Carson Wentz over 20.5 passing completions. You can get that on FanDuel at minus 114. And then the last pick is going to be the game pick. And there's too many to choose from to show you the whole slate. But what I ended up settling on, again, going back to the Seahawks-Cardinals game, is total points. And I found a huge value in the under 50. So the OddsJam Perfect Line has that at minus 148. You can get that. There's a bunch of different positive plays on the under, right? As you can tell, the under is a lot of positive expected plays. So as you can tell, that this is a game where sharps are going to be betting the under. Looks like under 48 is positive. Every under is positive except for a couple. So what I settled on, sorry for the ramble there, was the under 50 at minus 134. It was minus 125 when I got it, as you can see, under 50 minus 125. Unfortunately, so that the odds have gotten worse, but it's still going to be my official play is the under. And I like this for a couple of reasons. Number one, when you see situations like this where the under is positive expected value every single time, generally the perfect line is onto something. So I kind of tend to ride those. I'll take this under multiple different totals at whatever my calculator tells me to do. And I like this for the football reasons why I like it. So I know I talked about how the Seahawks were shut out last week. Let me just type in Seattle just to kind of show you. So I don't expect them to get shut out again. Obviously, I picked them to win, but that doesn't mean I think they're going to have a huge output. So like I said last week, their defense played well and they only gave up 17 points, but they just couldn't score. So I don't expect Russell Wilson to be quite at 100%, but I do think that he'll do enough to score. And then if you look at the Cardinal stats, so the past two games, Kyler hasn't played. One of the games they blew up and they scored 31 points. That was a weird game against the 49ers. I think it was almost as if like the 49ers didn't show up for that game. They won 31-17, but the other game last week against Carolina, they only put up 10 with Colt McCoy. So they were, the Panthers were a little more prepared for them. And the Seahawks, they had a good game last week against the Packers. They only scored 0 points themselves, and like I said, they only gave up 17. And then on the flip side, the Cardinals have a decent defense. In a game where you expect Russell Wilson to get to be still not quite 100%, and for the Cardinals starting quarterback, you're either getting a hobbled Kyler Murray. I didn't even mention the fact that Colt McCoy is also injured. You're either going to get a hobbled Colt McCoy or you're going to get their third string. So either way, it's not going to lead to a ton of points. So it's an under that I'm very confident in. I wish the odds didn't change to 134 since I locked it in, but that's okay. I'm still going to make it my official play. So to recap, I have them all hit here, and I will now unhide them. My 4 plays are going to be the Dolphins -3 at minus 120, the Seahawks money line at, this is plus 115. The Wentz over completions, this is minus 114. The odds change a little bit there. And the Cardinals Seahawks under 50, this is going to be minus 134 now. So those are going to be my 4 official plays. If you agree with them, I would love to hear your feedback. So you can comment here. You can hit me up at my Twitter at my handle below. You can also send me an email at matthew@oddsjam.com. Like I said, I'd love to hear your feedback, what you agreed with, what you didn't agree with, what I got right, what I got wrong. If you have any different picks that you like, I'd love to hear those as well. And yeah, at the end of the day, that's all I got for you. So if you, like I said, if you have any advice, hit me up. If not, that's all I got for you. So happy betting, happy watching, and good luck.